We help contractors by the hundreds with all of the administrative burdens that surround handling their construction projects. That means helping them with exactimate estimating, working with them on all the administration of their supplements, and doing the administrative services back office work that enables them to focus on selling, building, and billing.
We see contractors just starting off, maybe they're struggling with the fundamentals of running a construction business. They partner up with us, their process is now defined, they're able to grow their profit margins and actually scale because they're not held back with the burden of dealing with the supplementing process. I feel proud of what we've been able to do in this industry.
This is Larry Bache with the Merlin Law Group, helping policyholders for more than 30 years. If you have a claim or your client has a claim that needs help, please feel free to call the Merlin Law Group because we are the true policyholder advocate.
C3 was eager to help us, and even whenever we weren't giving them work, they were still eager to give advice. The things that they were putting out for the for changing from DMO to RFG and giving that to the industry and not charging anything for it, I thought was really cool. And that's stuff that I, as a contractor, appreciate. I'd recommend C3 to any contractor that's looking for a PA, especially if you're around Colorado. Great guys, man. I'm nothing but happy with the work they've done for us.
What's up, everybody? Lead meteorologist Sean Choquet here for our daily hail forecast, sponsored as always by Merlin Law Group, C3 Group, and Are the Supplement and Balance Claims. You can check them out in the description below. If you're watching us here on Facebook, they're all tagged in there for you guys to go check out and give them a shout. Got a chance for some storms today. Looks like Minneapolis might be the near epicenter of where we're going to see possible big hail this afternoon. We'll get into that in just a moment. Looks like there's a lot of risks for hail for a good chunk of the country for the rest of this week as well. We're going to kind of break it down for you a little bit day by day. And finally, yes, Tropical Storm Cristobal. This was brand new information right before I got on the video here. It formed at 11:15 a.m. Looks like the hurricane hunters went out and found some tropical storm wind gusts. So we're going to just kind of check in on that a little bit and talk about that as well, as we're getting hurricane seasons really taking off early this year. So, but before that, upcoming events tonight, barring any sort of big weather that happens this evening, we will have episode 6 of our Hail Trace 10-year anniversary series. Heather K will be the feature for this one at 6:45 on all of our regular platforms. So if you're watching us right now, this will air live just like this. And again, it'll get pushed back if, say, storms are happening over Minneapolis and doing live coverage. Obviously, we will push the video back a little bit after that, but we'll see. We'll see how this all plays out. So make sure you check that out. I know a lot of you guys, you've seen Heather on the videos occasionally, and of course, we also have a lot of reports all the time that she does as well. So you can get a little insight of one of our longest employees here at Hail Trace. So forecast for today, a pretty big risk area. The main focus is going to be here in that hatch zone, the most significant zone, where you can see upwards of tennis ball size hail anywhere from around Minneapolis, probably the south of downtown Minneapolis, so probably the southern sections of the metro area look more likely to see hail today. Everything shifted south a little bit since about this time yesterday. This is La Crosse, Wisconsin, possibly all the way over to Madison, Wisconsin. Could see some pretty big hail this afternoon and this evening. It's going to be pretty focused of the biggest hail. It's going to really be concentrated here in southern Minnesota and parts of western and south central Wisconsin. Could also see some storms. This is going to be late this evening. It actually kind of goes past what I had here. We could see some quarter to half dollar, maybe ping pong ball size hail from about Buffalo close to near Philadelphia. This kind of been developing on the models the last couple runs, so we'll see how that kind of plays out as well. And then we also have a chance for some isolated activity here in Wyoming and sections of western Nebraska. Could have some golf ball size hail with that. Overall, low chance for Rapid City, and then Casper. Again, moderate chance. That's your best bet here at the Minneapolis area for this evening. So wind forecast, there will also be some pretty gusty winds with this. Mostly, again, this area here by Minneapolis. Looks like we'll have the storms start off as hail producers, and they're going to kind of turn into a line of storms that make some strong winds, gusting possibly up as high as about 70 miles an hour. Got Madison in there on the moderate chance, Minneapolis, and this could make it all the way to Michigan late in the overnight as well. Otherwise, you're run-of-the-mill around 60-mile-per-hour gusts with any stronger thunderstorms, with anything else that forms this afternoon. So we're going to go city by city here, starting off with Minneapolis, Minnesota. Between 5 and 9 p.m. this evening, could have, again, upwards of tennis ball size hail. And this is going to primarily be probably south of the downtown area. The southern half of Minneapolis-St. Paul Metro, I think, has a better chance versus the northern half. I got pretty much smack dab in the middle of your moderate chance of at least 1-inch hail, and then borderline a low to moderate for greater than golf ball size. There is a chance that the biggest hail may miss the metro completely to the south, which is why I'm keeping that 1-inch hail about moderate, and then that bigger hail on a near moderate but lower end chance for Minneapolis. And then the other area I'm looking at, La Crosse, Wisconsin, 7 to 10 p.m., so a little bit later here. Again, about tennis ball size, your max chance. Much higher chance, looking pretty likely we'll see at least 1-inch hail in and around the La Crosse area. La Crosse isn't super big, but there should be some hail around there along that Mississippi River area, and much a higher chance of that bigger hail. Again, I think that really big hail, I think, was it Rochester, Minnesota is south? Is Rochester south of Minneapolis? I think they'd have a much higher chance than, say, areas north of downtown Minneapolis. So that's what we're looking at for today here. We're looking at that future radar. You can see the storms forming this evening, again, right around 5, 6 o'clock, and then moving down to the south and to the east. Could turn into a complex of storms that with hail embedded in it, or and some gusty winds, and it'll push off towards Lake Michigan into the overnight hours. Pushing a little bit further to the west here in the Central Plains, you can see the storms forming this afternoon, more isolated in nature across Nebraska and parts of Wyoming. Nothing too crazy. I don't really think there'll be too many significant storms across Nebraska this evening. And then finally over here by the northeast, this is the more recent development. This has been pretty consistent since about the 8 a.m. run here. Some storms forming this evening after dark across New York, and cutting across from about Buffalo down to New Jersey. Be watching this carefully. This could end up being a little sneaky storm, so we'll see what comes out of this. I'm thinking ping pong ball size hail at maximum with this stuff that moves down towards New Jersey. So Wednesday's forecast, we got a lot of different chances for hail here. A good chunk of the nation at risk. The most significant risk can be here across the high plains, so places like Rapid City, you got that moderate chance, maybe upwards of tennis ball size hail down through probably about Scotts Bluff and other areas in western Nebraska where there's a lot to talk about. I have Denver just outside of the risk. That could change this time tomorrow. We also have in the risk for a whole cluster of low risk here. We got Kansas City, could see a couple storms form. We'll have to watch what's going to happen in the Great Plains tomorrow. This could end up sneaking into a little bit more of a significant threat here for places like St. Louis, Chicago, Cincinnati, Indianapolis, Detroit, Pittsburgh, and possibly even down towards DC, where you have upwards of maybe golf ball size hail possible. Again, right now it's really looking like there will be some activity. This level of organization is going to be the big question mark here. Could we get a lot of storms going, or is it going to be more of the multicellular, more wind variety for your Wednesday? And yes, Sterling, Colorado is right over here. So good catch there, David. I'm trying to get as much of the city as possible, but we could see this stuff back up towards Denver for tomorrow as well. It tends to happen a lot. The storms will come right off the mountains and blow up pretty quick. So we're looking at for Wednesday. Future radar here, starting off in the northern plains. See those storms form in the afternoon hours as usual after about, say about 4 or 5 o'clock, and moving through the Dakotas, move off to the east a little bit here where things could be a little more interesting across places like Chicago and over into northern Indiana, even down towards St. Louis. A lot of activity here. If this ends up being more cells, individual cells versus kind of a messy line, we could see a lot more hail tomorrow. So we're going to keep a close eye on this. This could end up, again, sneaking up on us, could make some pretty big maps with that. And then finally over here by the northeast, again, more activity looking like rushing through in the morning, and then possibly quite a bit of storms across Pennsylvania and down by the nation's capital. So again, a lot of population at risk tomorrow as well as today, and then even looking beyond that, Thursday is a pretty gigantic risk here, extending all the way from the Dakotas through Nebraska down towards St. Louis, Kansas City, and even into the east here by Kentucky, Virginia, the Carolinas, Tennessee. We'll see. This isn't going to be anything super crazy. It's not going to be like a big outbreak or anything, but there looks like a lot of scattered activity. Could have that hail upwards of golf ball size, especially east of the Mississippi River, maybe even a little bit bigger here. Omaha specifically for Thursday could be something to watch. I think a lot of sections in Nebraska could have some real big hail on your Thursday, including in Omaha, Lincoln, possibly even as far west as, oh God, what's the other one? The one right in here, name I'm forgetting. So most of Nebraska. So we'll have more updates with that tomorrow. Friday's risks, this one's starting to look like some modern art. Colorado, you're back in the mix all the way up through the high plains into the Billings area and parts of the Dakotas. And then I just didn't want to make 2 swaths, honestly. And then we have another chance for some storms here across Iowa and into near St. Louis, parts of Illinois for your Friday. And then finally on Saturday, I kind of starting off narrowing it down a little bit here across Nebraska and parts of South Dakota. So that's what we're looking at through Saturday for your hail chances. Quite a bit of activity, and honestly you get past Saturday and our focus then changes to what just recently formed Tropical Storm Cristobal. This is the most recent satellite image I was able to grab here from I think right around 11 o'clock. Really starting to get some deep convection. The center of the storm has moved off of the Yucatan Peninsula and into the Hastings. There we go. Thank you. Moving into Grand Island, Nebraska. That's the one I was thinking of. Anyway, so we have the Yucatan Peninsula, Gulf of Mexico here. Storm's really starting to blow up, and it's turned into a tropical storm so quickly, in fact, that this is actually outdated. So it was Tropical Depression 3 until about 11:15, where it became Tropical Storm Cristobal, where we have winds about 40 miles an hour. And it's expected to kind of meander here for the rest of the work week. But notice by about Saturday and then going into Sunday, we're starting to make that move north towards Louisiana. We will see how this ends up playing out. Now, could be kind of messy for those of you who are curious. The earliest landfalling hurricane in the United States is June 9th in the 1960s. I think it hit Florida. So climatology says, so history says that the chances of this being a hurricane when it makes landfall are very low. Now, if it does look like it does become a hurricane, yes, hail trace, I think somebody asked it, will be chasing it. We will chase it if it becomes a hurricane. If it's a junky tropical storm that's super sheared out, chances are we won't go chase, especially if it goes into Louisiana. Louisiana is particularly tricky to chase with a lot of swamplands. You can't get right to the coast, and we'll see. It have to be a hurricane. We'll watch this super carefully. Again, this wouldn't be the first landfalling tropical system of the year. That was Bertha a couple weeks ago. If you didn't know, it's because it formed right off the coast of Myrtle Beach. It made landfall a couple hours later. So that was very quick. This one has a little more time to get itself together. If this was happening in the month of August, this would probably turn into a pretty big hurricane, but it is early June, so we might barely squeak out a hurricane out of this. So again, we'll be watching this for the rest of the week. It's nothing to be concerned about in the United States until we get into this weekend. Again, so be hanging around here all the way through Friday. And once the weekend comes, it's going to shoot up towards the coast. So we might be tracking hail and a tropical system at the same time this weekend. So a lot going on, and make sure you follow us, subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the first on Facebook so you don't miss any of our posts. We'll have that video of Heather at 6:45 tonight go live, so you check that out. That will be on Facebook and on YouTube. Follow our Instagram and our Twitter pages at HailTrace. And as always, give us a call, 855-334-4245. Any comments, questions, or concerns you may have. If you need to set up a training, first time here with HailTrace, whatever it may be, it's a good number to call. You can email us as well if you don't like talking on the phone too much, or visit our website for more details. You can message us directly on hailtrace.com as well. Next one, Florida. Yeah, I think with this hurricane season, I think Florida might have its fair amount of chances for storms. So, hope you have a great rest of your day, guys. Do those hail dances. Maybe we'll be back for some live coverage later on this evening for the Minneapolis area. That would be exciting, right? So do those hail dances, guys. Thanks for tuning in. If I don't see you, I'll see you tomorrow.